She lingered near the doorway, fingers curled around the small velvet box I had given her 3 years ago. The air between us felt dense, the kind of silence that presses down on your chest. She wasn't angry, just distant, like someone trying to remember a song they once loved but no longer care to hum. "I don't need the ring today," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly, as if rehearsed. Those 6 words hung in the space between us, deliberate and final, echoing like a door closing somewhere far away. I had no response. I'd spent the morning waiting for her, coffee gone cold on the table, hoping that today might feel different. But instead, it felt like the inevitable end of something that had been fading for a long time. Claire wasn't cruel. She was exhausted. I could see it in her eyes, the fatigue of pretending, of smiling through a connection that no longer fit. We had been engaged for 9 months. At first, it was laughter and dreams, weekend drives to look at wedding venues we couldn't really afford. She loved vintage dresses and intimate ceremonies, insisting love should whisper rather than shout. But somewhere between choosing flowers and finalizing catering, the whisper disappeared. Texts lost warmth. Phone calls became curt. Our dinners dwindled to mechanical exchanges. "How was your day?" "Fine." I told myself it was stress, work, wedding planning, life in general. But deep down, I knew the truth when she said she didn't need the ring. She wasn't talking about the gold. She meant us. I tried to hold on. Reminded her of our first night in Chicago. The rain, the diner, her laughter when the waiter spilled coffee and apologized repeatedly. Love like ours doesn't just vanish, I said. She gave a polite, sad smile, the kind someone gives when a decision has already been made. That night, her phone lay face down on the counter, still unlocked. I shouldn't have looked, but desperation and curiosity often walk hand in hand. Messages from someone named Evan flashed across the screen. They weren't explicit, but they didn't need to be. "I can't keep lying to him," she had written. "He deserves better." "I'll wait," Evan replied. "Just be sure." That was 2 weeks ago. I hadn't mentioned it, convincing myself it was nothing. Maybe he was just a friend. But when she said she didn't need the ring, every lie I told myself crumbled. She left without another word. The door closed softly yet decisively. I stood there, staring at the space she had left empty, the coat she always hung up gone, the unfinished mug on the counter. How a home could look full while someone was already gone felt like a cruel trick. I walked to the dresser where I kept my own ring, the one I bought after our engagement, a promise neither of us could keep. I picked it up. It felt heavier than memory, as though it had absorbed every argument, every unspoken word. "I don't need this," I whispered, letting it fall. The metallic clink echoed across the floor, small but sharp, like punctuation on a sentence I never wanted to write. Sleep didn't come that night. I kept wondering when we stopped being us. Was it the first lie, the first time she glanced at her phone instead of me, or the moment I began accepting her silence as normal? Eventually, I realized love doesn't end with fights. It ends with indifference. Morning arrived, sunlight slicing through the blinds, indifferent to the quiet heartbreak in my apartment. I brewed coffee out of habit, poured 2 cups, then discarded one. Silence felt louder than ever. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I told myself I wouldn't beg, that if she chose to leave, I'd let her. But every fiber of me wanted to hear her voice, even once, to close things properly. By noon, I gave in. I drove to her place, our place, really, since I had spent half my life there over the past few years. The door was unlocked. Boxes lined the hallway. Her shoes were gone, her books missing from the shelves. Our engagement photo at the beach lay face down, as if she could no longer bear to see our smiles. A note was taped to the fridge. "I'm sorry. You've been good to me, better than I deserve, but I can't keep living a lie. Please don't hate me. Claire." No mention of Evan. No explanation beyond those words. I read it over and over, hoping the ink might shift into something I could understand. It didn't. I folded it, slipped it into my pocket, and walked away. That night, I met my brother for a drink. He's blunt, no patience for emotional fog. "She's gone," Let her go before she takes what's left of you, he said. I wanted to argue, but couldn't. He was right. Yet a question lingered. How do you let go of someone who once felt like home? The following week, I tried to rebuild routine. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. But routine has a cruel way of highlighting absence. Passing our old cafe, I could almost hear her soft, teasing laughter. Every phone buzz made my heart leap, only to remember she wasn't coming back. About 10 days later, a message arrived from an unknown number. Hey, I'm Evan. Can we talk? I stared at it, torn between anger and curiosity. We agreed to meet the next day at a quiet diner. He was already there, nervously stirring black coffee. Younger than I expected. Early 30s maybe, with eyes that weren't what I imagined from the man who had taken my fiancée. I didn't come to cause pain, he said. You deserve the truth. He explained that they had met at a marketing conference 6 months ago. One dinner led to long messages. Messages led to calls. Calls led to guilt. She had told him about our engagement, her unhappiness, how I had stopped listening, how the wedding felt wrong. She hadn't lied about the guilt. He said she cried every time she spoke of me. I had no words. I wasn't angry, not anymore, just hollow. I left the diner. The evening air cut deeper than usual. I walked until I reached the park where I had proposed. The benches, the lake, the oak tree. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. I pulled the note from my pocket, read it one last time, and let the wind carry it away. Perhaps closure doesn't come with explanations. Maybe it comes when you stop demanding them. I realized something fundamental. Love isn't about holding on when someone is already gone. It's about having the courage to let them go and still wish them well. I hadn't worn the ring since that morning. Sitting behind the wheel, I looked at my empty hand and smiled for the first time in weeks. You were right, Claire. You needed the ring that day. I whispered. Catching my reflection in the rearview mirror, I added, neither do I. The engine roared to life. City lights blurred behind me. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was leaving something behind. I felt like I was driving toward